So I'm excited to welcome Jörg Schad, our head of engineering, to the show to talk to us about using autonomous data products with agentic AI applications. So Jörg, why are we even talking about data management? What role does this play in the world of agentic AI?
Yeah, I think in general, data management is a foundation for not just Gen AI, but any ML analytics or Gen AI application. And I think this is, if we just look at like the trends happening around LLMs, right? In the beginning, there was a big trend, oh, ChatGPT, and everyone would just use it and just being amazed by the capabilities. But I think as soon as we started trying to apply it to actual business problems delivering end user value and business value in the end, had to connect it to data. So the first kind of like big wave was around RAG, retrieval augmentation generation, when we connected like various data sources to our LLMs out there. I think the second big trend, like since end of last year, also was a rise of autonomous agents, is kind of like MCP, so kind of like a standard protocol to connect your agents to A tools, but I think also very importantly to data sources you have available. And I wouldn't necessarily say that we're there yet, that everything's great in that ecosystem, but I think just those trends that actually highlight that the value of Gen AI, of agents, it gets realized as soon as we connect it to our own data. And I think this is where then data management, Nextdata OS, and in particular also autonomous data products are playing a quite important role.
So what's the difference from the standpoint of data management from supporting AI users, agents, versus human users, say
Yeah,
your average
yeah,
analytics customer or data scientist?
hmm? Yeah. I believe the fundamental challenges, they're very similar, right? I need high quality data. I want to be able to discover my data, like what data do I have available, what is the semantic of that data, what is the meta information about the data, right? So just kind of like all those problems, I think they are fundamentally the same or very similar. But I think agents, autonomous agents, they are actually just taking it to a different scale, right? As the name suggests, they're acting autonomously. So discovery of data and reliance of like high quality data is even more important than if there's like still like a human there who in the end is going to make like a final decision on that. um, I think the other aspect, if we're talking about quality here, I think there are two big parts to that in Gen AI or ML consumption of data. The one is really just the pure data quality, meaning what missing fields. This is actually what it semantically says it is. So as anyone who has built an ML model or worked with ML knows, your ML model is only going to be as good as the data you put in. And this is also true for like Gen AI or RAG use cases, right? Even though I'm not building a fundamentally new model, but I'm augmenting my model with my own data. So the output is only going to be as good as the data as I provide. I think the second aspect to that is on the quality side, in terms of um, what data don't I want to publish, right? Probably like I think it was last year, it was kind of like this message from like or reports from inside Microsoft that some of their chatbots had actually included like the supervisor's email and were leaking like internal information. It was only within that company, but I think those are kind of like the other real danger of like if we talk about high quality data being used, it also means I don't want to use the data I shouldn't use or I shouldn't output. PII, GDPR, etc. So especially if there's a human in the loop, he might still catch that hopefully. But if we are really just talking about autonomous agents, chatbots, etc. against it, this becomes like a much bigger risk. So this is where we kind of need those controls even more urgently than for human consumption.
So is it really possible to have the same data management platform, the same data management framework across humans and agents?
Yeah, I believe so because I said like the fundamental challenges are the same. And let's maybe quickly talk about autonomous data products, right? I think we'll see that a bit later, as you mentioned in the demo. But what are autonomous data products helping us here to achieve this goal, and then why it's the same for both sides? So autonomous data products, they are basically on the first side, they are wrapping kind of like the data itself, the metadata, access policies, and like the semantic model inside like one API container, right? So for both an human user, it gets much easier to discover and use that data. But also for like Gen AI agents, it becomes like a lot easier because we just have standard interfaces to my data. I think this is the first part. I think the then more important part is, can I actually trust the data? So
Mm.
autonomous data products, they provide promises on the output data. So I can rely on, oh, this is high quality data. This doesn't leak any other data, because it might also be policies and then the associated promises guaranteeing that, yeah, we are not leaking any other information. And all of that is happening on like with computational policy. So that means that autonomous data product is autonomously checking that, and hence prepares it for consumption by autonomous agents. Sorry for overuse of that word, but I think that kind of like captures the differences. And all what is benefiting those agents, it will also benefit the humans, right? Just maybe not as urgently, but still, that's why as mentioned, the fundamental problems are very similar.
Just at human speed, not machine speed.
Yes.
Um,
Humans are slower in consumption, right? If we're just talking
a little
scale,
bit.
they're probably like a bunch of agents. They will do that like much faster. So the rate at which they will query, process data, and then just the sheer scale, there's a number of agents I'm going to have, right? If I just look at my cost, how cheap it is to bring up an agent, versus like hire another data analyst, we can see that's why just the scale and autonomy are probably the big difference.
So, what's the role of Nextdata OS in all of this?
Yeah. As mentioned, I think we already talked a bit about the autonomous data products, what they bring to the game, right? Kind of the uh, trusted use of data. And we already hinted a little bit as kind of like discovery. I think the big part of where Nextdata OS is then coming in, kind of like giving us access to like the dynamic nature of such a mesh, right? If we look at an enterprise environment, it's not going to be a fixed set of data products just running all the time. There will be new data products being brought in. There might be data products being deprovisioned. There might be changes in the semantic data. So basically, in large corporations, it is a very dynamic environment, and often you even have like, if you ever looked through like tables, there are probably like some outdated tables out there. And this again is where autonomous data products can also help us to really use the recent data, the up-to-date version of that data. The other aspect of that is, I don't want to build my agent against like a single data product. I want to use kind of the mesh API, which tells me, oh, there is a new data product which contains this information. It has like these access credentials, and oh, by the way, you have permission to use it. And then basically the agent, I'm not writing it against like a single pipe in the old world, like pipeline, or a single data source. I'm actually writing it against my domain of data products. So like I might have an agent in my financial domain who's going to monitor the data products in that financial domain, and whatever is changing there, if there are new ones coming up, etc., it can react to that.
Well, not just that domain, whatever domain it has access to, whatever domain in the organization has access to as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So could
Uh,
the agent can look across the enterprise
yeah.
for the data it needs.
Yeah. I think that in reality, there probably will be different agents. There will be agents like focused on like one domain, and there might be actually cross company agents as well.
It's the CEO agent. In the demo we're about to show,
Exactly.
Right. The demo we're about to show, what is it you really want people to take away from that?
Yeah. I think very, very similar to what we already talked about. I would love to for people to understand that there is like the like fundamental unit autonomous data products can bring here, right? Just from thinking about how I'm building it and how it can be consumed. If you imagine, like for a second, you're an analyst or agent, it becomes much easier to think about an autonomous data product because I get not just the data, I get metadata, I get those guarantees all like in one place in one API unit, if you want, so to speak. And I think then on the second level, Nextdata as the orchestrator of that, as kind of the level above, it again helps me to discover anything dynamic changing here. So basically, like if I think about the API endpoints where an agent can get information from, or a human analyst, it's actually like on that I can get from Nextdata as I can get like a mesh level view. Then from the autonomous data product APIs, I can get really the data product metadata. And if I have permissions, then there's a data access API just below that.
Okay. Well, let's see the demo. Break a leg, Jörg.
Thanks. Here we have Promoti and GenAI agents observing the sales information available in the mesh and identifying potential promotional campaigns. Promoti's task is fairly simple. It continuously checks for all data products with sales relevant data in the product and sales domain. And we are checking for a specific criteria here, which is a vector embedding output. So it is easily consumable for GenAI agents. Next, it will retrieve the recent data samples for the matching data products and then suggest promotional campaigns. The natural language instructions you can see here can be as simple because Promoti can rely on MCP tools available by Nextdata as giving it access to the Nextdata as APIs. In short, they enable Promoti to query the mesh, data product information, the data itself, and also create campaigns. Let us review some of the challenges we would face if we had to implement Promoti in a traditional ELT-based architecture. As soon as data becomes part of the GenAI game, we are dealing with the traditional data management challenges, such as data quality, permissions, authentication, and especially with the automated consumption by GenAI and agents, discovery and consumability in a dynamic environment. Therefore, let us take another look at our multi-channel sales data product Jean-Marc was working with before. First, we can see this data product is ensuring a number of promises. These promises are covering two particular aspects relevant to GenAI and agents. First of all, data quality. As for any machine learning model, GenAI is very sensitive to bad or incorrect data. You can have the best model out there, but with bad data, you will end up with bad results and therefore with incorrect answers or incorrect actions taken by your agent. Trust, on the other hand, is also very critical. As those agents are acting autonomously, we need to ensure that we are not leaking any customer information, any PII information, or company secrets via our chatbot or agent. Next, let us take a look at the different outputs. Different personas need different representations of the same semantic model to work with. For example, a data scientist can happily work with the SQL data. A machine learning training job, on the other hand, probably prefers like a document or file structured output it can use as training input. And agents, GenAI in general, they really love direct vector embedding representations here. And for that, let us actually start adding a pinecone embedding output to our multi-channel sales data product. For that, we have to edit these files, add the actual transformation, and make it available to our model. Please note, these are all just different views on the same aspect of the same semantic data model. Therefore, Nextdata OS will actually ensure that they are coherent and valid simultaneously. Discovery is another great cue. Now that we have redeployed the multi-channel sales data product, let's have another look at Promodi starting to use those sales trend data and create promotional campaigns based on that. In summary, Nextdata OS enables GenAI agents safe data discovery and consumptions, especially with dynamic enterprise data.
So Jörg, that was a great demo. What were the hard parts? If I were writing that code in real life, where would I be spending the
Yeah,
cycles?
I mean, can I actually start with the easy part? Because this is what I actually really, really enjoy about Gen AI agents. I feel like that business logic I could express in between, right? It was natural language. It was telling it, oh, retrieve information from these data products, then do this, filter, only consider like certain data products, right? So basically, the pure business logic, which gives me value in the end, that was really easy to express. What we have done in the background just before that, I think that was a bit more of the work part, right? We've exposed some of the Nextdata APIs. It's based around MCP protocol. We added like some permission management, etc. on top, but making this accessible as an API endpoint, which is easily consumable by that agent. That was probably the part where we did the magic in the background. And then this actually enables the business logic creation in just natural language in a very easy way. So I think those were the hard parts after all. If we want to go like one level deeper, even I think it was really making it secure, right? If you look at like one tutorial there, just consuming it's very easy, but doing it in like a safe, as we talked about in the beginning, in a safe, high quality fashion, that was where we just had to make sure the connection actually encompasses also all those qualities.
So thank you, Jörg. It was a great demo and a great discussion.